Normally, every year, when I finish a year, the diaries I have used, I arrange it. Some of them needed to be close by for consultation. Others are in my shelf and all of that. But the one of 2022 is on my table. I will not give it to anybody for nothing. Because there is something that God began. And the matter is, how do I move from wayside, where you have direct confrontation with darkness, you move to the rocky ground? What are the things I must deal with? What are the roots I must have? What about the thorns? Just like Reverend Dan was speaking yesterday, the thorns, the thistles, and the briars that can choke what God is doing. Then you now move to the fruitful grounds of your destiny. Now I am on the fruitful ground. Why can't I become a 100-folder? While this series on the science of the altar began, one of the things I have added to the tools required to become a 100-folder is the science of the altar. The men whose destiny and callings ordinations are maximized, they have vibrant, functional, effective altars. Because we are all on good grounds. Why must I be a 30-folder? Why must my marriage be a 30-folder marriage? And then I heard the apostle saying that God told him that anything you do for peace in your family is a wise thing. I wrote it down. Because I am using the parable of the sower as a lens to view life. What is a lens? That is how I look now. Yeah. How do I process this thing you are doing? It will lead you from 30-fold to thorny ground, to the stony ground, to the wayside, and then you are going to be in the belly of something. The way you are beginning, you are sticking around men carelessly. You are a married woman. You are just free with every man. Very soon, the birds of adultery will pick you up. The way as a young man, you are just hugging. You are carefree. Something will pick you up. The thorns will choke you. So I understand life. In finance, how do I move from 30-fold to 60-fold to 100-fold? It's one of the lenses. When you are dealing with the altar of your calling, the sacrifices are unique. Around 2012, someone close by requested for a particular book. Said, do you have this one? I say, I don't have this particular book, but I have Absolute Surrender. Then the person made the comment and say, you are always having wicked books. Apostle was there. Then he said, he has designed his destiny properly. That is why. Understanding the face that my calling is and the pitfalls I have seen people falling in, there are certain books I intentionally decide not to read yet. So that I can gain root, I can have the maturity, the humility, the meekness to see certain kind of things happening and still be organized and still be humble. An apostle told me, say, when they read anyhow when I want, but him, he reads according to his calling. And for about 10 years or so, he was reading strictly Watchman Nee's material. Because he knew that in the realm of the spirit, Apostle Paul is another point, Watchman Nee is another point, then himself is one of the pillars in that progression. So he stayed. Have you seen the way he loved the Pauline epistles? Have you seen the way Apostle loved? When he entered the book of Ephesus, it's like, let's go. Why does he love that book like that? It is one of the magna cartas, the charters of his calling. So I'm not going to be reading books that does not affect directly my calling. You are a lawyer, you are an engineer, I'm an accountant. I will stay with my accounting. When I need a legal service, I will pay you for it, but I will not become a lawyer. When he ascended on high, he led captivity captives and gave gifts to men. There is a gift he gave me, and I'm going to fan my gift to flame. I'm going to feed my gift to flame. On the altar of my calling, there are emphases that I have. Because I understand the nature of my calling. My investment in books and materials are in that area. Some young men came to the office and I told them, well, if you check my shelf, you may not see a book on fire. When you read, you begin to say, let's go, fire. No, the books you're going to find me with are books on depth, books on inner strength, books that will gender longevity, permanence, weight, solidity. Those are the streams of my calling. So I will stay there. If you are building altars to your call, perhaps you are a teacher, for instance. All right? For about 3 months, you have to be in school every other time where, schoolwork is quite demanding. I'm using that example because that is where I came from. I've been in schools. During the holidays, you go to renew and to reenact the altar of your love for God, of your commitment and zeal. That is when you do your fasting. That is when you pray for 9 hours, 5 hours, 8 hours. You do that for that 3 weeks, 1 month break, 40 days break. You stay there. So by the time you are resuming to go for the next season, you are not going dried. You perceive that God is going to have you to pioneer a ministry. Or you are going to be a pastor. You're going to end up in a ministry. One of the things I advise young people is, don't go into the study of potters. Don't go into the study of realms. Go into theology. Study the doctrines of the church. Read systematic theology. Read commentaries. Do you understand? Read biographies. I see people holding meetings, the 4 portals in the 3rd heavens. How to transition, how to bilocate. No, you don't need that. Establish yourself on the ground of truth. When Jesus Christ showed up to be tempted of the devil, do you know how he addressed Satan? Do you know how he handled those temptations? It is what? Written. It is written. It is written. It is written. And on the strength of it is written, he said, get behind me, Satan. Because the realm of the spirit is very slippery. You are likely to encounter personalities in the realm of the spirit who are camouflages. They are mimicking light, but they are not light. And it will take the depth of truth to know what is light indeed and what is not light. I have been fasting before. And during the course of the fast, I will have dreams where spirits are coming, they want to empower me. During my NYC, every weekend I fast 3 days, 2 days, 3 days dry. Especially from Saturday, Sunday, I fast like that. Because where I was, there was really temptation there. So every weekend, I lock up. Every weekend, I lock up. Every weekend, I lock up. When you have time, it doesn't mean you should spend it on PS4 and other things. It means you have more time to pray, more time to study the Bible. Sit down and finish the book of 1 Timothy, 2 Timothy in one holiday and study it. Write out the details of what is in the Bible. You will know that God has said so much. In my practice of Bible study, when I write out what is written in the Bible, it just dawned on me that there's so much God has said. Back to the story when I was serving. And these spirits appeared to me and said, Tony, I want to give you power. But right there inside of me, there was a resistance. And I said, you cannot give me power. I am not a power monger. Do you know for 4 hours, I wrestled with this spirit? But I can tell you that staying with the Bible, oh my God, I love the Bible. And the discernment to know what is of God and what is not of God comes from that altar of study. For 4 good hours, I woke up with anaerobic respiration. My thighs were aching because of the fight that I had to engage in the spirit. Normally, I would have just risen up from that dream with supernatural ability. Look at you, just see your pocket, see your international passport there, see the foreign dollar, the dollars you're having there. Just look at you, see the appointment letter, see your mother, and then how your mother looked like, and then begin to describe. Enter into a prophetic realm, and they say, "Kai, this man, this guy, when he went for NYC, he went and fasted, and he came with the prophetic." It was Satan wanted to harm me. And anything that God can give to you, Satan want to give you that same thing. He met Jesus Christ. See this word, see everything. Just genuflate. You don't even have to lie down. Just if Jesus Christ had bowed down on the mount in the wilderness and he came back with power, how many persons will have known where the power came from? There are people who had such encounter that the Pharisee said it is by the prince of devils that he don't cast out devils by Beelzebub. Why? They have seen those kind of things. On the altar of your calling, a love of truth will keep you from error. Bible said because they did not retain, I'm not even saying truth yet, because they did not retain the love for the truth, God gave them over. They became reprobate, became fake. No, it's not even because they don't know the truth, but because they don't have a love for the truth. And I tell young people, if you're going to raise an accurate altar of your calling, spend your life on truth. And maybe I should say this. Are you listening to me? I may need some time to clarify, but this will be safer. Know God in His word before you know Him in the spirit. There was a phase in my life that I go to the library from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. I am reading. Then from there, I go to tent and the opening prayer is 1 hour. I use that 1 hour to burn sacrifices of 8 hours of study. When you have less truth and more spirit, you are more likely to enter into error. That is what I have been trying to say. Less truth and more spirit is more likely to take. Have you seen the Orthodox churches that stay with the books? So the kind of error we find in Pentecostal cycles, you don't find it there. They may not have manifestation and then people doing, but they have longevity and consistency. Go to Equa. Go to these churches that they still sing hymns. The moment you begin to come with something, but in the Pentecostal cycle, if they walk, then 9 p.m. If they onaga, is he walking? Is he walking? If it is walking, then we go with it. There are certain demonic deceptions that it will take great truth to. Paul was preaching, and a young lady came and said, "These are the servants of God." Are you not the servant of God? Was Paul not the servant of God that bring to us the word of salvation? It took 3 days for the depth of truth instead of Paul to cook discernment, and Paul rebuked that lady. There are many churches where those kind of people are their prayer band leader, that the prophetesses and the prophets in those places, and then strange things are happening. And the moment you begin to load in more truth into yourself, you begin to become uncomfortable with that flow. The sacrifices you offer on the altar of your calling, it is distinct. So that as a young person, I don't believe you can live a pure life if you're not acquainted with the way of fasting. Maybe I'm being absolute about this because of my journey as a young person. Oh, you're going to see things. You are going to see stuff. That it takes fasting for constant, sustained mortification to still stay on track. So that every quarter you should do something about your calling. Do you get what I'm saying? Every quarter, maybe every 3 months, you do a 21 days fasting. There is an altar that we have in this house that God used Mama to rear, the Deborah Intercessory Network. You know, every year, they do 3 days dry fasting. Last year, I was there. I didn't fast. They fasted. I went there and feasted. This year, we're there. And next year, that is a ministry altar. That every week, I have people in the printing space that I disciple and mentor. One of them was having challenges with his business and everything. I told him, Oga John, people, they go different places, they go touch things. See you there for my code, they say you go work like this. And I told him, because of the nature of your work, Mondays to Saturday, you are here working and all of that. Every Sunday, do 24 hours fasting. Every Sunday, you are doing what? 24 hours fasting. It means from Sunday morning, you're not eating anything until Monday morning. And in the 3rd week, he began to call me and say, man of God. No one they begin to call you man of God like that, you know that the thing is working. By the 3rd week, you can be working fasting 12, Monday to Friday, whatever, but Saturday, you don't have work, and you work in a bank, you work in a highly demanding environment. Make sure you study your schedule and then erect altars. That Saturday morning till Sunday morning, you are indoors. Once in a month, you spend 3 days indoors. Once in a month, you spend 2 days indoors. Once in a month, you spend 24 hours indoors to ensure that you renew the covenant of your calling. It makes the flow easy. Marriages, homes should have altars. December is your month of wedding. September is your month of wedding. That month, do something that links you and empowers the purpose of God for setting up that family. In the Old Testament, when a child is born, they take that child to the temple after 8 days, and they do for that child what is required by law. That is why Jesus Christ on the 8th day, he was taken to the temple. And then Simeon and prophetess Anna, they were there. They came to do for him what is required by law. In the New Testament, we don't have all of that going to cleanse and then to offer to do and everything, but there is something you should do for your child. In the day, in the month, in the year they were born and all of that, there is something to do. Hello? Are you seeing that as we are wrapping up, we need to now go into specifics of what your take home? You are going to turn 30 years. Jesus Christ at the age of 30 entered destiny. Joseph 30 entered destiny. And you see things about 30. You rear up an altar about 30 years. Hallelujah. Do we know what to do hereafter now? These are the practical side of the altars. You are going to the university. You are going into a new sphere of life. A different sphere of reference altogether. Don't just enter because you scored 320 in JAMB as a young person. While you are waiting for admission, fast for 21 days. Fast for 30 days. Fast for 14 days. And the reason why you are doing this is because, Lord, where I am going to, I don't know the place. Good people become bad people because they enter a new sphere of life. Bad people become good people because they enter a new sphere of life. So now that I'm entering this area, I don't want to move from good to bad. I want to go from grace to grace. And there is something that will anchor me there. Before ever we started having somebody coming to live with us, like maybe a young person to help us, help our family, when my wife was saying, you see, things are hard, we need to get this person, give me some time. Give me some time. Don't you see, things are like this, give me some time. Some women will see her say, you have 3 children, you don't have a maid helping you. If it is me, there will be no food in that house. And then when they tell, she will tell me, I say, give me some time. The reason is, I have seen Abraham had a house girl that became his wife. And I'm not going to have anybody's daughter coming to live with me that I will mess and violate. So I have to seek the face of God in fasting and prayer to get an assurance from God that He will help me on this journey. You became prosperous, you became blessed. Then you started bringing people. Hey, your wife now, somebody needs to carry her handbag, somebody needs to carry her toothpick, somebody needs to carry her shoe. So everybody is there, and then temptations are all over. And then before you know, you begin to touch and touch. Which altar is supporting that? Do you know what it means to be a pastor of young ladies? We have seen even the mighty fail. And it had to take God, I beg, on an altar. Praise the Lord. Are you there? Ministry is an enchanted ground. It is the landmines are everywhere. It will take an altar to deliver a man. What is the guarantee that you will not molest and mess up God's daughters? Is it because you are a disciplined person? That is one. But there is an altar that will keep you unto Him that is able to keep you from falling and to preserve you. You appeal to that altar. Paul said, I appeal to Caesar. I want to go to Rome. And they say, to Caesar you have appealed, and to Caesar you will go. There are altars of purity. Joseph is a chieftain on that altar. Daniel is a chieftain on that altar. We have them in the cloud of witnesses. We company with them, and we seek the face of God to help us. So you approach the throne of grace where you obtain mercy and you find grace to help you in the time of need. We are not always strong. But there is no temptation that has taken you that is not common to man. But with every temptation, God will make a way of escape. One of the things that makes you sensitive to the escape routes that God makes is an altar of your calling. I've had to many times move some people to go and see a particular pastor. Counseling you once, twice, and then you are beginning to enter into my soul. You will go and meet Reverend Alphonsus. Because the author of my calling, there is that courage and brutality to shift you to the next person, because I didn't come to fall. That is why you beg God. When you see a man of God, all these people that you see strong, watch them when they are praying. They look very pitiful in the place of prayer. It is when they come out, they look very strong. When we are praying, we don't see Yakabo. Watch any of these people. You don't see them do Yabo. No, they are begging God. God, I beg. God, I beg. Would you please rise up tonight? When Ephraim and Manasseh appeared before Jacob for prayers and for blessing, Joseph positioned them in such a way that the right hand of Jacob will be on the head of Manasseh, and the left hand of Jacob will be on the head of Ephraim. And then Jacob put the right hand on Ephraim's head and put the left hand on Manasseh's head. And Joseph said, not so, my father. This is the firstborn. Jacob said, I know my son, but this one, the lamp of his destiny, he shall be great. Even though Manasseh will be a great guy, Ephraim will outshine Manasseh. But watch Ephraim, the altar of idolatry haunted Ephraim until God left Ephraim. Say, Ephraim has joined himself to idol. Leave him alone. You carry a great destiny, and whatever is fighting you, immorality, adultery, your family, you need to rear up altar 21 days every month for 11 days, 11 months, for 12 months, asking God, save me from this thing that has fallen strong men in my family. I don't know what to tell you to pray. Just go ahead and pray. I feel in my spirit, I feel light right now. I feel like I have spoken the whole counsel of God about this matter. I feel so strong that I'm not owing you anything on this subject matter. Can you go ahead and talk to the Lord? Where are you working? I told you stories of all that I set up in my working place. What about ministry? What about family? Different sphere of life. Altars. The first time you get your first million, don't eat your first million. Raise an altar with your first million. The first time you get a billion, raise an altar with it to guarantee that you will never fall for millions. You will never fall for billions.